Hey, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening. Here in Spokane, Washington, it feels a little bit like evening because when I walked to work today, it was dark. It was very, very dark outside. The sun it's just beginning to rise right now. So, it's getting late in the year when you have more dark than daylight. So yeah, very odd experience. Kind of nice in a way. I'm good today. I hope you are all good today as well. We are going to cover vocabulary today, and hopefully a lot of vocabulary. We'll see how much we can get through, so we better get started early. Of course, you'll see me look to the side because I'll keep on checking your questions in the chat. And today's vocabulary is going to be about politics. It's politically related. As you may know, here in America, we are in our political season, the big one. It's considered the big one because we are voting for a new president of the United States, our highest elected office. It's actually not the most important election or vote we do, and I don't know if you know this, but we vote many times during the year. We don't just have one vote every 4 years or every 2 years. We continually vote, and actually local votes, the votes I cast for Spokane, my city, are actually more important than voting federally. All votes are important, but I think local is more important than national. Somebody asked me, who you going to vote for? I'm not going to get into that. One of our early vocabulary words we'll study today, I'll talk a little more about it. I am going to keep it a secret this year who I'm going to vote for. In fact, I'm a little undecided at this point among not just the two parties, but we have more than two parties. Oh, are you ready? You ready to start? Thank you. Okay, here we go. Oh, there's one question before we begin. What's the difference between nap, slumber, and sleep? Well, nap is short sleep, usually during the day. Sleep is a general term. Slumber is kind of an older word, but same as sleep. We don't use slumber so much anymore. Sleep is very general. Slumber, I guess, would be your nightly sleep, your long sleep, nap a short sleep, and sleep is just a general term for all. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to the lesson. As always, at the beginning, if you have any more questions about these classes, you can email Zach. I don't think Zach is with us this morning, but you can email Zach here, and I shared the link to his email in the class notes. There's a couple landing pages for our live classes. If you're interested in a live class, you don't have to sign up right now, but you can always sign up later. You can check it out on our site, or you can check it out on the Canadian site, and it'll give more information and the classes available for you to sign up for. So it might be something you want to think about for the future. The SCEL page, that's where I work if you want to know more about the actual place where I work. And then I actually included the link to our Learn English on Facebook page. If you haven't joined this yet, you can join it now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody joining us now. And then, today is vocabulary. So let's get to it. So check out those links at the beginning of the class notes. And of course, that page is called Learn English on Facebook. I am Neal Hallgarth, as always. I haven't changed. And one quick question to cover. Sandeep, do we say according to me or according to I? Well, if you're writing or speaking, I would say according to me. I would say according to me, because after a preposition or even after a verb, so whether you see that as a phrasal verb or you're looking at that preposition to, usually the object form comes after that, not the subject form. Okay, let's get started. Oh no, we have some internet problems. Stay with us as much as you can. Okay, here we go. Hi, good morning. For those of you just joining us, one more time, vocabulary about politics. Vocabulary about politics. Let's look at our first few words here. On the screen, you can probably see, beginning with communism. Communism is a form of government where a country's people are not allowed to own property. All property is owned by everybody, by the entire nation, by the entire country. It's shared. Everything is shared. And that's communism. And you might think of either Russia or China when you think of communism. Of course, they're not entirely communism. There's a bit of capitalism there as well. But communism, generally, you think of the nation or the country owns everything. Everything is shared among the country and the people inside of it. And that's communism. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, here's where I'll talk about the different parties. You may know the word party, and I'm on the second one here. You may know the word party to mean, like, you know, a good time, like a birthday party, a celebration with many family and friends. Politically speaking, a party is how to describe party. Let's look at the example first. The politician's party really cares about reducing pollution. A political party is a group of people who invest their time, effort, and money in order to forward specific agendas or laws. A political party is a group of people that supports a candidate or that can support candidates. In America, we have actually many parties. Most people know the two big parties. The two big ones are Democrats and Republicans. Those are the two major parties. And most of the time, about, 99% of the time, the people we vote for in our country and in our states are Democrats or Republicans. However, independents can get through. We call them independents, but a couple big parties that have gotten a lot of coverage in the news this election cycle are the Green Party and the Libertarians. So we do have a greater choice than just two parties. In fact, outside these four, we have more choices. We have quite a few choices for who we want to elect, how many parties there are. Not all of them have a lot of coverage in the media. They don't get covered in the news or the newspaper. And many people think, including myself, think that's unfair. However, this election cycle, two more parties have gotten more coverage. So when deciding who to vote for president, I actually have probably among these four, I have a choice. So it's not that easy as just choosing one of two. Yeah, that's a good question, Rosa. A wing, you could say, is same as party. We call the Democrats the left wing and the Republicans the right wing. Left wing and right wing. Let's see. I'm looking at your questions. If you have any questions, China. Good, Vivek. China is and we would use the term. So this is communism. We would use the adjective form. What is the adjective form of communism? It's communist. The adjective form of communism is communist. So communism is the noun form, as you can see, a part of speech. So we'd say China is a communist country. Oh, it's too small? I can make it bigger. Is that better? And Rosa, when I'm right, so realistically, if we speak realistically, either a Democrat or a Republican is going to win the presidency, and they're going to win the governorships. However, some people will cast their vote for the Green Party and the Libertarian Party, and that means these parties will receive more support in the future. And it's important in America, I think, that we have more than just two parties. I think a lot of people feel that way now, that we would like to see more than two major parties. We would like more choices in who we elect. Oh, today is vocabulary. Hussam, today is vocabulary. We've only covered the first two, communism and party. Okay, let's look at the next word. Next word is elect. Elect. She wasn't elected for the position as she was not popular enough. Okay, elect is a verb. Elect is when someone wants to hold a position in politics, like president or governor or senator or mayor. Any of these positions, they have to be elected by the people. Everybody gets to give one vote, and if enough votes let somebody fill that position, they are elected. So we elect our president. We elect our president. So, elect as a verb. In America, I'll talk a little bit about American politics as well. We have what's called the popular vote. Popular vote is one person gets one vote. That's the popular vote. Then we have the electoral college. These are the people, a group from each state that gives votes for that state based on population. Okay, so we have a very strange system. We each cast one vote, but in a national election, we have something called the electoral college, and it's a group of people for each state, and they actually give the votes for the state based on population. So each state, because they have a different population in America, gets a different amount of electoral college votes, electoral votes. And this is actually what's going to decide who is president. The electoral college has the ability, has the power to go against the popular vote. Now that doesn't happen very often. However, they do have a lot of power. They are the ones who decide where the state's votes go to. It's a very strange system. So we don't actually elect the president. It's going to be the electoral college from each of our state that votes for the president. Yes, elect, good. I think a good synonym, elect, would be select. In fact, maybe I can put that here. Oh, excuse me. Oh, pardon me. Ooh. So select by vote means elect. Ralph, I'm not going to get into a political discussion right now. Politics, specific politics, is something that it's considered very impolite, and it always starts fights when we talk about very specifics, such as who we're going to vote for. I try to avoid that discussion, who I'm going to vote for. Even among my family and friends, it just always gets ugly. The discussion turns bad. People feel very passionately about the people they vote for. So I try to avoid that discussion. And I'm not going to, thank you. I'm not going to talk about who I'm going to vote for. That's going to be a secret. That's my secret. And we have like 2 weeks. We have 2 weeks till we have a new president. So maybe we can talk more about it at that time in 2 weeks. Okay. Vote. In the USA, people have to vote for the president every 4 years in November. And notice we can use it as a noun. I have 1 vote. So let's look at that noun form. I have 1 vote, and there's a noun form, or verb. I will vote for who I think is best. So we can use it as both a noun or a verb. Vote for, when we use it as a verb, often we do have that for afterwards. Vote for, kind of a phrasal verb. So vote and vote for. Vivek asks the question, what's the difference between capitalist and communist? So up here we have communism. The opposite of, not the opposite, a different form of government would be capitalist. And then of course the noun would be capitalism. The difference is in a capitalist or in a capitalist society or in a capitalism, everything is not shared. You make money and you use that money to buy things. America is not a true capitalism. We don't usually make money off of capital. If I owned property, if I owned some investment that increased in value, that's more capitalist. And of course, we have that system in our country. You can own appreciating property. You can own investments that can increase or decrease in value. This is more capitalist than just going to work and earning a wage. But I think most Americans, their main form of money is to go to work and earn that money. So we don't have a straight capitalist system. If we all made money, if we made a bulk of our money, most of our money, off of land, investment, property, businesses that we owned and that could increase or decrease in value, then it would be more of a capitalist society. And of course we have that in our country, where people own businesses and property and land. But not everybody. I think the majority of people, their main source of money is their income, is their salary, are their wages. So every system is mixed. When we talk about communism and capitalism and even socialism, every country is a little mixed. We don't have any pure form of any of the government economic systems in the world. Yeah, capitalism is more of a personalized economy. Everybody has their own personalized economy. And people have individual ownership of things. People own things themselves. You buy to own. And it is about profit. Capitalism is very, very much about profit. Okay, yeah, you invest in stuff, and good, Hussam, you invest in stuff. You make money off of investment. Okay, good questions about forms of government. So communism and capitalism. Not exactly opposites. Of course, then we have socialism. And no country in the world is like a pure socialist country. But socialism, or a socialist country, would be even more severe than communism, where everything is shared and there is no centralized government. There would be no centralized government. No ownership, no centralized government. It would be everybody works towards a greater good. It would be very difficult to organize a socialist country or to have true socialism. Usually some form of organization is necessary. That's why you see communism before you see socialism, because there is organization there. Okay, let's go on to the next words. Well, thank you, Claver. You guys are good students. You have good questions this morning. And I think your understanding of capitalism, it looks pretty good according to what you're writing. Okay, let's look at process. Also a noun and a verb. Just like vote, process can also be both a noun and a verb. Russia is now a capitalist country, but it used to be communist. The process for this to happen took many years. So we think of Russia when we think of communism, but now people can make individualized profit. They can make profit on their own. Of course, there are some parts of it that are still communist. The government is still very powerful and in charge of distribution. However, I guess it would be considered more of a capitalist country. The process, and we're using it as a noun here, and we know it's a noun because we have the article the process for this to happen took many years. So process is the steps to get from one point to the next point. That's the process. That's the process. The slow change that takes place. Of course, verb. If I say, I was shocked to hear the news about a death in my family, I will have to process. I will have to process this news. I was shocked to hear the news about a death in my family. I will have to process this news. Here I'm using it as a verb. It means it'll take me some time. I need some time to come to an understanding. Often when we experience death, it takes us a while to accept it. So we call that processing it, processing the information, processing the news. Good. It's like procedure. That's a good synonym. A good synonym for it would be procedure. Process or procedure. Development. Good. You're thinking of some good synonyms here. That's good, Abdulaziz. Development. Shariat, you have procedure. These are very good things. Vivek, step by step. Good. A lot of good synonyms for process. Vivek also asks, what is democracy? Okay, so democracy is a little different. If I go up here, democracy would be considered a government selected by votes. In a democracy, we select our leaders by voting for them. And they come from us. They come from the people. If I had the money and I wanted to put the time and effort into it, I could enter government. I could enter my own American government. I would start small, locally. I would be maybe like a voting official for a certain district, or I guess I could try to go for city council, which is a group of people that make decisions for the city, obviously. So I would start small and work my way up. So democracy, a government selected by votes, the candidates, somebody who wants a position, the candidates come from the people. At least they should. Yeah, good, Alejandro. The population can change the government through elections. Good. Yeah, and parliament is where a party's head sits and discuss. Yeah, we have parliament. Rule of the commoners. Good, Alejandro. Yeah, democracy comes from the Greek, from ancient Greece, and it's rule of the commoners, rule by the people, because the people get to vote for their candidates. Okay, let's look at the next. Parliament. Parliament will vote on the new law next week. Parliament will vote on the new law next week. And somebody, yeah, Parliament is a group of party heads, party leaders that discuss and oftentimes argue about changes in the government and law. So when we elect a group, now we don't call our group Parliament. We have two. We call them the Congress and the Senate. But that's like our Parliament. That's very much like our Parliament. Of course, Britain has a Parliament, but we do not. We do not have. We don't call ours a Parliament. We do have a Parliament. We don't call it a Parliament for some reason. In the USA, we have our Parliament is divided into Congress and Senate. The Congress and the Senate. Congress makes decisions about new laws in our country, the actual changes in our country, and the Senate makes decisions based on money, the finances in our country. So if Congress wants to make a new law, the Senate has to approve it based on budget. Is there enough money to actually make that law a law? Can we enforce that law? So it goes between these two to make changes in our country, new laws, new rules in our country, new amendments to our Constitution. So our Parliament's split into two. Yes, good. In Great Britain, the Chamber of Lords. Good. Thank you for reminding me of that. It's a little different. The Chamber of Lords sounds very, very formal, very professional. Democracy, you can have a democracy in a communism, in a capitalism. I don't know about a socialism. I think leadership is diminished in a socialism. You may elect positions, maybe not leadership positions, but organizational positions. But you could have a democracy in any form of these. So when we talk about communism and capitalism and socialism, those are more economic, and then democracy is the system in which leaders are voted into position. Okay. Let's go to take place. This is a phrasal verb, meaning you need both of these words. You need to keep them together. The police have closed the area behind the building. Something terrible must have taken place. And you can think of this as occur, occur, happen, take place. And of course, you can change the form of the verb. It could be took place. Here we have taken place. So you can change that form of the verb. You can't change the preposition, though. The preposition has to remain the same. Take place. So there's a couple synonyms, occur or happen. Yeah, just we're talking about something that happened, take place. Let's look at the next word, campaign. Again, both a noun and a verb. The politician has been campaigning for the past 7 months. I'll use the noun form. His campaign has been very successful. Campaign is when you want to make people aware that you want to be elected. So you do it by traveling around the country. You do it by shaking hands, by making commercials, by making buttons or stickers with your name on it, speaking to the media, speaking to the news and the newspaper. So campaign is what you do, basically your job to let people know that you want to be elected into a position. So a campaign. Does that make sense? Campaign? So right now, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are both campaigning. They're both campaigning, and they will campaign up until our election in 2 weeks. So they have 2 more weeks of campaigning to make people aware that they want to be elected as president. So they will say what they believe, what changes they want to make in America, and try to get people to vote for them. That's a campaign. Candidate. This is a good word. This is a noun. You seem like an excellent candidate for the position. A candidate is somebody who can be voted in to a position, who wants to be voted in to a position. So for our candidates for president, we have Hillary Clinton for the Democrats, Donald Trump for the Republicans. Then I mentioned the Green Party earlier. That's Jill Stein. And the Libertarians, that's Gary Johnson. So each one is a candidate for their party for the position of president. And they're all campaigning right now. And then let me know if you have a question about any of these words. I'm going a little faster now. Political is an adjective. She always likes to watch political documentaries. They are so boring. Of course, political is just the adjective for anything dealing with politics. If something deals with politics, if it concerns politics, it is political. I hate to get into political arguments. I hate to get into political arguments. I hate talking about politics with friends or family because even if we agree, it seems to make people feel passionate, either angry or sad or upset because people feel so strongly about it. So I try to avoid discussions about politics. I don't like political arguments. Good cha. That's good cha. Candidate, the person running for a position. And running is just, so we have the ing form, we have campaigning. We can also call campaigning running, when you're running for president or running for senator or running for governor. Yeah, political debates, good. There were 3 political debates between Clinton and Trump. They debated 3 times, and the debates are over now. And that's just where they get to say their position on different topics that might concern a president. Of course, in America, the president doesn't have a lot of power. Congress and Senate have a lot of power. Even the Supreme Court has a lot of power. The president's power is they can veto or they can say no to anything the Congress and Senate decides. The president has the power to say no. They can disagree, and they can cancel a new rule or a new change or a new law. They also get to select their own cabinet of advisors. So people that advise the president, they get to choose that themselves. So they get to select positions, and they get to meet a lot of people, a lot of leaders from around the world. So they just kind of become a representative of the whole country. As far as political power goes, not a lot of political power, and as far as making changes in the government goes. Okay, publicity, a noun. Her actions received a lot of publicity from local, national, and even international media. Publicity is printed or spoken or broadcast information about a person or event. Publicity. Celebrities receive a lot of publicity. Of course, presidents, people running for president, receive a lot of publicity. They get covered a lot. They get discussed a lot. They get talked about a lot in the news media. So we say publicity, and it is a noun. Yes, in America, you can become the president. That's a good question, Hussam. You can run for president 2 times. Each time or term, we call it a term, T-E-R-M, 4 years. So if they run twice and win twice, that's 8 years. That's a combination of 8 years. So Obama was president for 8 years. He will be done this year. This is his last year. He'll be done in December. So we elect our new official in November and our new president in November, and they will start next January. Okay, back as a verb, though, not as a noun, as a verb, and not as an adverb either, as a noun. Okay, I will always back this political party, no matter who the leader is. When we use it like this, when we're talking about politics, the meaning is support. 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 I will always back this political party, no matter who the leader is. I will always support it. So back can be a synonym for support as a verb. Yes, SEM, C-E-M, back does mean support. Withdraw, Rosa, you ask about withdraw. Withdraw means back out, back out. So if we talk about withdraw, we need that phrasal verb back out with the preposition out. So withdraw is a little different. This meaning of back is going to be support. Okay, let's look at the next one. Determine. Determine. It's a verb. The type of job I find will determine the amount of money I will have to spend on an apartment. So decide. It's kind of a synonym for decide. Determine, decide. So determine. And let's look at a question. We probably aren't going to get to a lot of our exercise questions, but I want to show you the exercise at the bottom. So let's pause on determine for a second. Let's go all the way to the bottom. Okay, let's look at this. Remember the word communism? Although the student lives in a communism country, he always thinks about how to make money through business. We have to change this one. We have to change communism to the correct form for this sentence. If we look here, we have a noun, country, and usually before a noun, if we want a description word before that noun, we would change it to an adjective. So we have article, noun. Usually we have an adjective in that position. So we do have to change it to the adjective form. Although the student lives in a communist country, he always thinks about how to make money through business. And notice they did something else here. Some of the punctuation is also missing from these sentences. So think about where punctuation should go. So let's look at the one for determine. Maybe I'll make this a little bigger. Let's look at this second one for determine. The student is very determined to learn English as fast as possible, as she wants to attend university in the fall. So what form of determined do we need here? We do need to change the form of this word. What would you change it to? And yeah, if you can't see the screen clearly, that might be an internet connection issue. Might be some lag or the stream is not clear. And I see some of you are already coming up with the correct answer. The student is very. Okay, the trick here is to look at this word, the be verb. We have the be verb and we have an adverb. What usually comes after an adverb and what comes after a be verb in a sentence? If we have subject, be verb, and here's an additional clue, we have an adverb. What do you think? I see some of the right answers. What do you think? And I think as far as punctuation goes, it looks like we're good on punctuation. They did include the comma here, which is good. So don't worry about punctuation on this one. That's right. What we need is that passive, that past participle as adjective, or we can call it the adjective form. When we put ed on a verb, it looks like a past tense verb. It looks like verb 2 or verb 3. We can use these as adjectives. These can also be used as adjectives. So if we have subject, be verb like is, and an adverb is an additional clue that we do need an adjective. The adjective form is going to be the participial form with the ed-n, determined. The student's very determined to learn English as fast as possible, as she wants to attend university in the fall. Okay, let's go back up to more vocabulary. Funds, funds. It's a plural noun. Let's look at the example sentence. The business has enough funds to start a new advertising campaign. Funds, as you may be able to determine here, is money. It's a word for money. The business has enough funds to start a new advertising campaign. We can also think of it as maybe available money, or sometimes in a political campaign, given money. Money that has been raised. allotted money, money that has been chosen for a specific purpose. Oh, did I misspell allotted? Looks like I did. So money that's donated and then it's used for a specific purpose. It's allotted money. Funds. Death penalty, a noun. The criminal was sentenced to life in prison instead of the death penalty. The death penalty is where you are determined to be guilty and the state being state government will execute, will kill. It's the worst sentence, obviously, a prisoner can get. If a criminal is determined to be guilty, then a judge and a jury will decide that criminal will be executed, will be killed. It's the death penalty. In America, the president, before they leave, like Obama will be done this year, he can pardon or he can excuse criminals. He can get a criminal, I'm wondering if, no, usually it's a governor, usually it's a state leader that can decide that a criminal will not receive the death penalty. So a governor does that actually. But the president can pardon, I don't think it can be a death penalty prisoner, but a political prisoner or somebody in prison, maybe on a life sentence. The president can pardon them. They can get them out of jail, can get them out of prison. Rosa, you ask, what's the difference between publicity and advertisement? Advertisement is for a specific person or product. So yes, you can have political advertisement. Publicity is just when the news is there and recording something. So an advertisement would be like if I'm watching TV and I see a commercial and it says, vote for Clinton or vote for Trump. That's an advertisement. Publicity is just when I'm watching the news and Trump does something or Clinton does something and the news is there and covers it. It's a kind of form of soft advertisement. It's just something to make people aware. It doesn't tell you to do something, doesn't tell you to buy something. It's just reporting. It's just reporting on something. Yes, Hussam, that's right. Somebody did something bad and state government has determined that you will be killed. You will be killed. You will be in prison for a while. And then at the end, you will be killed. You will be executed. The criminal will die. So that goes with our next word, execute, which is a verb. The criminal was executed at exactly 12:01 a.m. Execute is a synonym for kill. Of course, it's more formal. So when we talk about it happening in prison or we talk about it happening because of the death penalty, we would use the word execute. Execute, a more formal word for kill. Yes, Asta, that's good. Advertisement is a paid form. Publicity is not necessarily paid. That's very good. Very smart, actually. Paid for. An advertisement is paid for. Publicity, not necessarily paid for. Sometimes publicity can be free. Publicity can be free. I've mentioned before that I'm a host of a radio show, and on my radio show, I sometimes give publicity. For example, if I'm talking to an actor, and that actor is going to be in a play, I mention the play, where it is, when it is, how much the tickets are, and that is publicity. That is free publicity. So on my radio show, I often give publicity. It's not paid for. Nobody pays me to say those things. It's just a form of publicity. Okay, let's look at the next word. Yes, we can say execute, the action of killing. The action of killing. Good, Saad. Let's look at the next one. Remain, stay, verb. Although most workers have already gone home, she remains at her desk. Yeah, remain. Stay. Stay. That's all it means. Remain or stay. Our next one is, okay, this one's a little weird. We have two ways to pronounce this. The noun form, and I'll try to give like approximations of how they sound. The noun form sounds more like advocate. Verb sounds more like advocate. Advocate and advocate. So they are pronounced differently depending if you're using the noun form or the verb form. The candidate does not advocate for reducing taxes. Now this is the verb form. We have does before it, and then we have that negative, so I know it's the verb form. The candidate does not advocate for reducing taxes. He is not an advocate. He is not an advocate. Advocate and advocate, different pronunciation. So remember that. The two forms have a different pronunciation. Little strange. And of course, you may be able to guess that give support to something. An advocate who advocates gives support to something, speaks or writes publicly in favor of something. They are for something, they are pro, and they want to convince other people. So they speak or write about it. Yeah, I hope you don't forget the phonetic difference between this. You know, we have a few words in English are like this that even though they're spelled the same, depending on the part of speech you use, the pronunciation will change. And when we talk about vocabulary in the future, I'll make sure to mention the pronunciation differences. Very, very strange, I think. Okay, next word, effective, effective. And it's an adjective. Her idea has not been very effective. In fact, it hasn't worked at all. So you know the noun affect or the verb effect. So the adjective form, effective. Is it effective? Is it, does it work? Is it working? Is it effective? Is it creating change? Is it creating progress? Is it effective? Commit is a verb. I don't want to tell you if I have ever committed a crime or not. This form of commit that we're using when we say commit a crime means do. Just means do. I don't want to tell you if I ever committed a crime or not. Commit a crime is a very popular collocation. You will see that verb and noun used together. So when we talk about doing a crime, we say commit a crime. Commit a crime. Yes, often a negative way to say do. Of course, there is positive. We do use it in positive ways. I'll show you a positive meaning. We do have positive collocations where we say something like, I will commit to my marriage. I will commit to my marriage. And of course, this is a positive way. Now, it just doesn't mean do, though. When we use it positively like this, it means more like be faithful to. Be responsible for. So when we use it in the positive way, it does change a little bit. It doesn't mean just do. It's not just a general action. Here it's, I will take responsibility for this. I will be faithful. I will be loyal. Commit. Well, thank you for all your kind words. We're running short on time. Maybe time for a couple more words. Opponent, noun. I am not very sure who my opponent will be in this election. Opponent, of course, is rival. The person against you. In politics, we have opponents. Democrats and Republicans, when they run for position, they are opponents. They go against each other. So opponent, the person against you. The person against you. Oh, commit to paper. Milena, that's a good question. Oh, I'm glad you're committed to attending these classes. That's a good thing to be committed to. Commit to paper. The new law was committed to paper. When sometimes something does not become legal until it's committed to paper. If we commit something to paper, we make it legal. We make it formal. Sometimes words are not enough. We need a legal document. We need a document of something. And that's when we commit to paper, when we want to make it official. And good, Hussam, that's a good synonym for opponent, competitor. Justice is a noun. The person responsible for the crime needs to be found. I demand justice. I demand justice. Justice is a concept of fairness in society. If somebody steals something from you, the idea that that person needs to be punished in some way is a sense of justice. Now, hopefully we get the thing that was stolen from us. Hopefully we get it back. Hopefully we get it returned. But usually, sometimes we don't. The form of justice is that person goes to jail or that person is punished in some way. It's a strange kind of fairness. It's not like I go to the criminal's house and take something of his, steal something from him. No, justice is that eventually somebody who commits a crime against somebody else will be punished in some way. And usually that way is, of course, time in jail or time in prison. They will have some of their freedom taken away. So our form of justice is to restrict a criminal's freedom. And that is our sense of justice. Okay, I see I am running out of time. So I've shared these class notes with you. I'll share them with you one more time. Oh, there's so many words. On your own, go through the words, of course. And I'll share the link with you one more time. There you go. One last question, Zayad. What does it mean? Committed myself. Usually it's a negative. For me, it's a negative meaning. I've committed myself to an institution. An institution being about to a mental facility. Voluntarily seeking help or treatment. A doctor does not commit you, you commit yourself. I have committed myself to a mental facility. I'm seeking help for a psychological problem. A doctor didn't tell me to do it. I did it on my own. I did it voluntarily. Okay. Well, yeah, we've come to the end. So there's all that. For homework, for those of you signed up for this class, there is homework. For homework, I want you to review writing 2-2 sentences, compound on complex, in the Smrt curriculum, of course. And then after you did that, return here to English 125, vocabulary 4-1, politics, exercise 3. So it'll be exercise 3 concerning these words. And that's all the time I have this time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your attentiveness. Thank you for the great examples, the great synonyms on this vocabulary lesson. I hope you learned something during this. I hope you look at those class notes and learn a little more. Join me again Wednesday morning. Of course, join any of the teachers, any of the mornings. I got to go now. Always look for these Smrt classes. Always join the ones you can. Rosa, one last thing. What is the synonym of get rid? Get rid, a good synonym for get rid or get rid of is throw away. Throw away. Get rid of it. Throw out is also very good. I want to get rid of my old mattress. I want to throw out my old mattress. And with that, I have to go. Bye, my friends. Bye, my students. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great tomorrow, and I will see you soon. Keep studying English, as always, of course. All right, I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.